Dragon Age: The Veilguard, developed by BioWare and published by EA, is a fantasy action RPG where players take control of a customizable character named Rook, just in time to interrupt and pretty much botch an extremely important ritual. This whole scenario going sideways unfortunately results in two evil elven gods breaking free from confinement and infecting the world with the Blight, a sort of cancerous type of look, it isn't good. Today I want to talk about Dragon Age: The Veilguard at length. Let's consider this a review from someone stepping into this franchise for the first time. This is a game I was extremely skeptical of, and I'd say I had very good reasons to be skeptical. Who completely restarts development multiple times over the span of almost 7 years? As the game got closer, my skepticism grew stronger, and I think that was also justifiable. Who changes the title of their game just 4 months before launch? As we rolled into said launch, the talk of the game being woke propaganda began to spread. Snippets of dialogue were passed around social media sites, and this basically took over the conversation. Days later, the game actually released, and the review scores came out. I was already checked out by the time this game hit store shelves. I figured the stops and starts on the development front were probably a sign of things to come, and that this game would most likely be a technical mess upon launch. So I was checked out. But I gotta be honest, I was a bit intrigued by the usual suspect culture war idiots who were parading this game as one of the worst AAA releases in recent memory. They were parading it as such a thing without ever having played it, mind you. And then you take that and compare it to the really high critical review scores, and I just wondered what was going on. I wondered how this could be. Who was right? Who was wrong? Could the complaints and the compliments both be true at the same time? I looked around and checked out a few reviews. Some positive, some middle of the road, some negative. What I found was that I was regularly tuning out the narrator, regardless of their opinion, because I was enamored by the gameplay. Despite my skepticism and purposeful ignorance to the Veilguard, I felt like these environments and this combat looked awesome. It looked like something I would really enjoy. So, I bought the game. And now, I've played it. I've played a lot of it. So here we are. After the break, we'll get into my official 616 Entertainment review of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I'm going to go into the story, I'm going to go into the gameplay, I'm going to get into the controversy, all of these things. I am going to be spoiling the outcomes of several of the companion quest lines, so just be aware of that coming in. After the break, let's get to it. Every video here on 616 Entertainment is made possible by my supporters over on Patreon. If you enjoyed the show here today, consider signing up. You'll get early access, exclusive videos and podcasts, and more. Pro Wrestling Tees has the merch. As always, thank you for watching. We'll get into the controversy in a little bit. I don't really want to open with that. You know what I do want to open with? Cool stuff. You know what's cool? This is cool. Here's what I'm working with, combat-wise, as a mage, and you can steal this if you want. I've got an ice staff. I hit him with the 3-piece, then I charge up the soda. The soda in question is a 5 projectile combo in one. How you don't. Depending on who I'm fighting, I might switch to my other weapon, which is much better for close encounters and breaking through armor. It's an electric orb that allows me to mark jabronis with bombs, and then I can use my dagger to detonate the bombs, dealing huge damage. And these things are just my quick attacks, all of these. They're all fired off with square and triangle. Holding down R2 shoots my ice beam. Don't try and tell me my ice beam isn't top tier stuff, because I will hear nothing of the sort. Holding down L2 grants me access to my special moves. I can launch a barrage of these fire darts. I can blast out an electric wave that puts overwhelm on enemies, making them more vulnerable. Or I've got this orb that damages everyone in its path. This meter here is my super meter. When it's full, R3 and L3 together, and this is for me, rips a black hole in space and time, sucking everyone in, dealing damage for its entire duration until it explodes, wrecking anyone in sight. Holding R1 is how we get our teammates involved, and picking who comes out on which quest is key. Finding two friends who can form a combo with special moves can help you, I don't know, survive a deadly encounter with a massive dragon?
Someday I will become a dragon. Every breed deserves me. But this one, I brought just for you.
If you filed Dragon Age the Veilguard in the, never mind, folder immediately upon seeing the social media discourse, but you thought that combat looked really fun, I got news for you. That's what this game actually is. Let me just say this. The Veilguard is my first real experience with Dragon Age. I mean, it's my first full run. I didn't play the original, I didn't play the sequel. I started Inquisition like 7 times and I just could not like it. I tried my absolute hardest. I got like 6 hours into this game over and over again, and I always quit at the same point. There was always a forced realization of, man, I like this idea, I kind of like these characters, I want to play a fantasy RPG, but I hate this gameplay. I hate it. I don't want to constantly have to go into these menus for everything. This sucks. For years, I had been looking for something that felt like Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Amalur is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's a one-off. It has no sequels. I've earned the Platinum Trophy in Amalur on PS3 and PS4. I'm telling you, it's an all-timer for me. So yeah, I struggled for many years to find anything that would give me those Amalur vibes, and I found them. Right here, in Dragon Age the Veilguard. Amalur was pretty for its time. I loved the colors and the variety in settings, but holy shitballs, the Veilguard is gorgeous. Seriously, this is an amazing looking game. And the combat is there too. Look at this Amalur finisher. Now check out this Veilguard finisher. The vibes are definitely there, and I could not be happier about it. In some ways, I feel like I have finally found the successor to one of my favorite games ever made. I should probably tell you guys about the companions, right? Who they are, what they do, how they work, blah blah blah. I should do that. That now seems like as good a time as any. Let's do it. First of all, let me say this. If you're anything like me, the words squad-based can kill your interest in a game entirely. I don't want to have to worry about anyone else. Let me do me. I don't want to babysit, and I don't want to have to tell my teammates how to fight. Here's the beautiful thing with the companions in this game. You don't have to tell them shit. You don't have to heal them, they're not gonna die on you, and they can 100% handle themselves in a fight. We can pull the wheel up and ask them to heal us. We can tell them to hit a combo move together, but we don't have to do that. Again, this was something from Inquisition that turned me away, and I absolutely love how it's handled here in the Veilguard. Now the characters themselves. This is Lucanus. He's a member of the Antivan Crows, who are basically a shadowy and mysterious group of assassins. He's possessed by a demon named Spite, and Spite is desperately trying to break free and kill everyone. It's a whole thing you're gonna have to deal with. Here's Morn Watcher Emric Volcarin. He's a necromancer. Emric's buddy here is Manfred, a skeleton reanimated by a curiosity wisp. When I tell you you are going to absolutely fall in love with Manfred, I mean it. He becomes like the family's little baby brother. He's such a sweetie. I warned you about spoilers earlier. I'm about to dip into that territory, just so you know. At one point, Manfred actually sacrifices himself to save all of us. And that throws everything on its head, because Emric had been dreaming for decades about becoming a lich, meaning he would leave his living body behind and embrace immortality as a spirit. He'd studied for this opportunity his entire life. Not just anybody can do this. But when Manfred dies, a massive choice comes to us. Should we encourage Emmerich to let go of Manfred forever and become the Lich he always dreamed of being? Or should Emmerich make peace with the fact that he will die someday, and that he should spend his remaining years happy? I absolutely said, dude, Manfred is our boy. He's gotta come back. But when that choice comes to you, trust me, it's not as easy as it sounds. But Manfred had just learned how to talk, dude. He's like a baby. There's no way I was leaving my little baby buddy behind.
Return to me! Please. Manfred?
It worked.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful indeed.
Davin here is a Grey Warden. He's a lifelong soldier who comes into possession of Assan, who is assumed to be one of the last griffins in all of Thedas. No one is really sure what happened that wiped out all of the griffins. At first, we absolutely learn over the course of the game, and it's not so nice. We find the twisted soul responsible for infecting ancient griffin eggs with the Blight, and she has a sad story herself. When a game can take even the nastiest of villains and make you feel for them, that's good writing, man. Spoiler again, we handle things and find out Assan isn't the last of his kind.
You were a Grey Warden. Act like one. Be the light in the darkness. Die, here and now.
The darkness offers protection. So it must be.
Assan, like an arrow!
This is another moment that'll tug at your heartstrings, when Davin tells Assan that he can stay with his kind and live his life on his own. And Assan's like, nah, dude, you're my dad. We do this together. Come on, man, if you've ever had a dog or any pet that you loved, you know this feeling.
Bye, boy. Welcome home. How about thanking Rook for all the help?
Fast forward time, Bolara is an elf. She's with this group called the Veil Jumpers. Her brother turns bad, and it's really hard for her to come to terms with it, and even though he tries to do the right thing, he's killed by the shithead he fell in line with. Going through the funeral process with Bolara is heavy. And side note, I was going to romance Bolara at one point. I was attracted to her pep and positivity. But as time went on, her doe-eyed joy and excitement began to feel a bit childish, and that killed it for me. Nev, a shadow dragon from Minrathous, starts out pretty distant. She's short, she's all business, she can be a little mean, and I'm into that. I romance Nev, and I don't regret it, but I gotta say, I guess you could call it, sex scene is super tame.
I'd like to see some boobs. He wants to acknowledge that superheroes also get a sting.
Yeah, and they're strong, big, and they press up against the glass, you know.
And anything else on that?
No.
Joking?
Does it have something to do with the fact that I let Nev's city burn and I helped Treviso instead? I don't know. Look, Minrathous was a beautiful place, and now it looks like this. I guess because of me. But I made the call I did because Treviso doesn't have a military. Minrathous does. So I sent the help to the place that I thought needed it more. I'm sorry. Lace Harding is a dwarf, and we help her connect with the ancient stone. She has to confront the hatred inside, and it's a really cool boss fight in the center of the earth with a giant beating heart underground. I wasn't recording at the time, so I don't have any of my own footage of it, so enjoy this instead. This brings us to Tosh from the Lords of Fortune. Part Ravani, part Quinari. She can breathe dragon's fire, and that's a big problem, and she has to keep it a secret. She also happens to be non-binary, or they happen to be non-binary. Tosh discovers who they really are over the course of their companion questline. Yes, this is the controversy. This is where the snippets of dialogue that completely buried this game on social media came from.
Best part is, while Tasha is pounding that snake's nose, she's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties, I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it, sorry.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barb.
Oh, okay.
a barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune, from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big, drawn-out apologies. So, when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a Barv.
Oh, I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tasha's back.
Oh, Tash isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours.
Huh.
Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them, too.
I didn't expect the Lords to care about the stuff. Me being non-binary.
Kirkwall taught me about family. If it matters to you, it matters to me.
Dragon Age is woke.
PC garbage.
Go woke, go broke.
Trans gay woke propaganda.
Tosh would prefer to be called they. So what? Dude, so what? Does that really bother some people so much that they have to run to Twitter to cry about it? So what? I don't want to be called they. I'm a man. Call me he. Call me dude. Call me shithead. Call me Dan Dan. Just don't call me late for supper. How you doing? That's the thing, too. Those tiny little snippets of dialogue, those tiny little snippets that make up like 3 minutes of this game, those were pulled out and presented to you specifically to trigger you. And unfortunately, it worked on a large swath of people. Even if you roll your eyes at please call me they, this game is like 75 hours long. We are talking about a small snippet of one character's personal journey. A personal journey contained all within an optional quest line, by the way. Those morons on Twitter who cried about other people's use of pronouns that they don't like. Those people played through an entire optional quest line just to record it, to show it to you, to say you shouldn't like this. Just in case you were wondering. Just in case you were wondering if they were trying to purposely rile you up to make a buck off you on Twitter. Yeah, that is exactly what they're doing. You know what those assholes didn't show you about Tosh? They didn't show you that their mother is killed right in front of them by the Dragon King.
Avatos, little dragon. I am Assan, the Dragon King. I am pleased that you followed our bait.
You are wrong, Atashak. Chakra Toebra is not an order to struggle against what you are. It is a reminder that through struggle you find what you are. And you have never done so. Evatash has. They are stronger than you will ever be. Rook, you will keep them safe.
Chakra Toebra.
Tosh, move!
they didn't show you that they avenged their mother's murder in gruesome fashion, burning the Dragon King to death with the very flames he so desperately wished he could breathe himself. They didn't show you that Tasha's struggle with their identity is only a part of their character arc and questline, and that trying to come to terms with which part of their bloodline, the Quinari or Ravani, as the life they should pursue, is also extremely important. They didn't show... I'll stop there. You either get the picture about the grift at this point, or you don't. Now, is it a little distracting to hear terms like non-binary in a fantasy RPG adventure? Sure it is. It's distracting the same way it was when Dennis Reynolds used soy boy beta cuck on a recent episode of Always Sunny.
Be gone from me, you soy boy beta cuck. The transaction is complete.
Like, man, I've been watching this show since 2005. Long before people talked like that, long before that was even an insult that people used. I don't really want to hear Dennis Reynolds going there. It doesn't really make sense to me why a grown man would start using chronically online teenager lingo out of nowhere, you know? I can see that the game might be taking you out of Dragon Age and reminding you of real-world life problems that you are not looking for right now. 100% I understand that part of it. It's just that those people online were selling this game to you as that's all it is, when in reality, it's not. It's not even close. It's such a small piece of the puzzle, man. Moving on. My character is extremely sexy, and you will notice that she does not look like me at all. Hey man, if you give me a character creator, I am always going to put together the sexiest woman I possibly can. Do you know how hard I worked to unlock this titty gear? I had to kill 2 evil dragons to get the Ravani merchant leveled up enough to even sell it to me. But it was damn worth it. And that's a little piece of the controversy too. Certain people were annoyed that the body proportion sliders didn't let you create super sexy characters. Maybe you just don't know what you're doing, man. My Rook looks like she's on the Tony Storm routine. How you doing? One of my favorite things to do, all jokes aside, is collect new gear. In an RPG, having super cool outfits is a must. Some of these looks are awesome, and I really like to play up the role-playing aspect of this game. I will put on Grey Warden's gear if I'm gonna go support them in their town. Same thing with the Crows. Some of these outfits are hideous and should be burned and buried in a secret place. Look at this, by the way. This is my room at the lighthouse, where we're stuck in the dream of the Dreadwolf or whatever. Outside my window is a seascape, which doesn't make any sense at all, because outside the front door, we are floating in the sky. But like I said, this lighthouse is locked inside a dream. There are no rules here. Oh, and you can decorate your room any way you like with mementos you collect on your travels. This shit is awesome. There are stray cats that hang out in certain towns, and yes, you can stop and pet them. There are dogs, too. If you don't stop and give the animals some love, we are not the same. I was skeptical of the Veilguard, and with good reason. It's not usually a good sign when development on your game has to stop in order for your team to go work on other troubled projects. I was skeptical when they put out a CG trailer that felt almost Fortnite-ish in a way. I don't know who the fuck put this thing together, but they did this game no favors. I was skeptical when they changed the game's name 4 months before launch. I mean, how does that even happen? But when I saw actual gameplay, I thought it looked really cool. When I listened to Last Stand Media's spoiler cast and Gene Park said that even with the issues he had with the game, this was probably the most fun combat BioWare ever designed, I liked the way that sounded. When I heard the hubbub about woke game, worst game ever, this whole game is like this, I thought, I highly doubt it. So I bought the game to see for myself. The gameplay is indeed fucking awesome. The combat is indeed tremendous. I look forward to every single encounter. Finding new gear is always exciting. Picking up a copy of something you already have and it acting as a rarity upgrade is a major dopamine hit. I heard complaints that your decisions don't really matter and you can pretty much see every end result regardless of your journey, and I have to say, I haven't found that to be my experience at all. I've had characters refuse to help me because I didn't help them. I have bypassed major boss fights by paying attention to what I'm told and saying the right things at the right times. I explore every corner of every map because I genuinely want to open all of the chests and collect all of the caretaker mementos to upgrade them so I can enchant the gear of my companions and upgrade them. I love this game. The admittedly out-of-place current events feeling dialogue that shows up for about 2.5 minutes in an optional quest line that took up the entire conversation surrounding the launch of this game, yeah, that's not quite what this game is. Dragon Age the Veilguard reviewed very, very well, and for good reason. The overall story, which I've completely neglected to mention, and I'm just gonna keep it that way for the sake of not spoiling everything, is cool. The score from goddamn Hans Zimmer is sick as hell. Graphically, it's awesome. If you are an RPG fanatic, if you're looking for Baldur's Gate levels of freedom and limitless possibilities, the Veilguard isn't that wide open. It's not even close. If you're looking for side quests as cool as Skyrim's Dark Brotherhood or The Witcher 3's Bloody Baron, nothing here really stands up quite that tall. Look, I'm not trying to sell you on Dragon Age. Whether you are into what you've seen here or not is completely up to you. I put this review together for a few reasons. Number one, I'm just loving this game and I wanted to do a review for it. Number two, I want to do more reviews like this on more recent games that I don't normally cover, and this just seemed like a good place to start. And number three, I just couldn't believe this stuff. These idiots calling the Veilguard the worst. I knew there had to be something to it. I knew the picture that they were painting was probably one panel in a several 100-page comic book, and I can tell you now, from experience, I was right. Man, if Dragon Age the Veilguard is the worst game out there, this is the best worst game I've ever played. Well, that was my closer, and I think it was a pretty good closer, but I've got an update. We now know, thanks to these reports, that despite selling over 1.5 million copies, the Veilguard missed publisher EA's sales projections by more than 50%. It's a shame. It's a shame that so many people were turned away from something of such high quality for reasons that are not even close to being what they're represented as. If this looks like your kind of game, now you know the truth. If this isn't really your style, then hey, you didn't miss anything, so it's no sweat off your ass. I'm gonna do something I've never done before, but it's still January, it's still fresh, and now I've had time to play through the whole game, which I didn't at the time that I made my original pick. There you have it. Dragon Age the Veilguard is officially my 2024 Game of the Year. After 70 hours and just a few trophies shy of the platinum, I already know I'll be back down the road. With a new class and fighting style, a new babe, and a whole new story. Man, I can't wait. Oh, there it is, Dan-Dans. That's my review of Dragon Age the Veilguard. If you're playing this game right now, let me know about your journey down in the comments. If you don't care about this game and you never did, hey, that's fine. I appreciate you watching. If you're somebody who completely ignored this game because of those posts that you saw on social media, you got. Sorry to let you know. I recommend you get your news from somebody else. Patreon channel memberships, please consider signing up because YouTube currently has me practically shadow banned. I've been told by several big-time Dan-Dans that they are not getting my videos in their subscription feed, they're not being notified when I'm putting new stuff out, and this is all over an issue that literally doesn't exist, but YouTube's never going to admit that. So I could use your support in the meantime. Thank you. Until next time, I love ya, and I will see you soon.